Aaron David Miller is a former State Department Middle East negotiator. He's now a senior fellow at the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace, and he joins us now. Good to see you as we continue to try and parse this press conference. President Trump's newest threat is that he said, in terms of Iran, that the entire country could be taken out in one night, and that night might be tomorrow night. I mean, look, Kristen just laid it out for us, right? He even says, look, I don't know what's going to happen. What did you take from his latest pronouncements on this?
I mean, he's the president of the United States, and he doesn't know what's going to happen. I mean, I think what you saw in that press conference, fascinating juxtaposition, tactical brilliance of the American military, extraordinary operation to redeem both aviators, weapons officer plus the initial pilot, flying hours in daylight and then under cover of darkness. Retrieval is extraordinary. So on one hand, you see that. On the other hand, and forgive me, I mean, I've worked for Republicans and Democrats, and I voted for Republicans and Democrats. What you also see on the other hand, to me, was a degree of confusion, strategic improvisation, and I hate to say it, because I want this administration to succeed in this effort, strategic incompetence. Because it seems to me there is no chance between now and tomorrow midnight of anything that you and I, Paula, or normal humans would regard as a deal. No deal. And that leaves escalation. If escalation could change Iran's calculation, it might be strategically valuable. But the last 6 weeks seem to have proven that it can't. So where are we left? No deal, more escalation, and maybe ground troops.
Yeah, and that is something that is, in fact, quite unsettling for so many in the region and beyond. To your point, President Trump claims, he says, we have an active and willing participant in Iran for those talks. Have you seen any proof of that? And I mean, we shouldn't take anything that Iran says on its face value either. We get that. But the president is now suggesting things like, okay, we are talking about, the Strait of Hormuz. Perhaps we need a full deal. We can't just have a ceasefire. Do you really think there's a willing negotiator on the other side from what you've heard?
I think in order to have a successful negotiation, you need to reach a balance of interests. I don't see Iran at this point willing to make those kinds of concessions, and I certainly don't see the Trump administration willing to do so. So if you want a deal, it's got to be win-win. I'm afraid that Donald Trump's view of negotiations, and again, worked for Republicans and Democrats, voted for Republicans and Democrats. Donald Trump's view of negotiation is, I win, you lose. And there's no way the Iranians, who have demonstrated a resiliency that has surprised many, is going to capitulate. And I don't think if Trump destroys the country in 4 hours, as he claimed he could, why is that going to make them any more reasonable or compliant? I don't understand the logic.
Or loosen their grip on the Strait of Hormuz, for that matter. The president himself in the press conference admitted that, a few mines will basically jeopardize any navigation through that strait. So I ask you again, Donald Trump is clearly talking about the United States being the winner here, and he'll settle for nothing less. And he's also talking about perhaps the U.S. taking tolls from the strait and protecting that waterway as oil and other energy resources make their way through.
Yeah, I noticed somebody at the press conference, I don't know who it was, asked him about the Iranian charging tolls, and he turned the question around to basically say, it would be a really good idea if we charge tolls. No, look, if this war ended tomorrow and the president said, we've won, I'm done, there is no constituency in this country that he cares about that would do anything other than breathe a collective sigh of relief. The problem is it will constitute a major strategic defeat for the United States. So he's in a box, Paula. In a box. Right now, no exit.
Many have indicated that. I do want to get your take on something that last week, Javad Zarif, he's the former Iranian foreign minister, he wrote that Iran must accept that its nuclear technology has not deterred aggression. If anything, it provided a pretext for Israeli and U.S. attacks. I'm not sure that he has any influence over anyone negotiating at this point in time either, but it is one Iranian voice saying, look, there is room for a deal here.
Yeah, I mean, it's logical. Zarif didn't have much influence when Ali Khamenei, the supreme leader, was alive, and he certainly doesn't have any influence now. What certainly makes incredible sense. My concern and fear is that if the regime survives, and getting rid of the regime is the only way, it seems to me, to change Iran's behavior. But if the regime survives, I think it's going to accelerate Iran's determination to acquire a deliverable nuclear weapon. Kim Jong-un the other day, or several weeks ago, said, validating North Korea's nuclear program, as if to say, you see what happens if you give up your nuclear weapons or don't have them? That's the real problem here. Accelerating the very thing the president wants to avoid.
And it's been a harsh lesson in Ukraine as well. Aaron David Miller, we will leave it there for now as we continue to go through the critical hours ahead. Appreciate it.